welcome back to another episode of Drew's Automobile Wonders. Today I'm finally going to talk about my 1966 Chevy Bel Air. It's been a long time coming. I bought this car quite a while ago now. I bought it back in February and bought it sight unseen and drove it home. This car was in a barn for 40 years, believe it or not. So it's definitely a survivor, or of survivor status. It definitely needs a little bit of work, but I'm planning on this being my year-round daily driver. And I know it might hurt some feelings out there for the purists and the types. They're, oh, you can drive that in this Midwest salt, and oh, well, here's the thing. You take care of anything, it'll last forever. Washing goes a long way. Undercoating goes a long way. Half the reason why vehicles rot out is because people don't take care of their car. People don't wash it. People don't wash it right after a snowstorm. People will go out and undercoat a car and will be like, oh, I never have to underwash or wash the underside ever again. Not the case. And I know better than that. So with that said, this is going to be my year-round daily driver. And the biggest reason why I bought this car to be my daily driver is because I miss having a full-on frame, rolling living room. Specifically a couch to sit on. And the ride quality on this thing, I've been driving it for about 3 weeks now. I just put it on the road about 3 weeks ago and finally got it, I made it officially roadworthy. This car drives like a dream, and I cannot get over how well this car drives. And the other reason why I bought this car is because, believe it or not, there's unlimited parts for this car, both mechanically and cosmetically. The only difference is most of the cosmetic parts they make for this car is they intend on making for the coupe, like the Impala SS, along those lines. More guys hot rod the Impala SS coupes and, the two-door cars than anything else. So the four-door cars, like, for example, I mean, I'd have to modify, if I got a quarter panel for this car, they repop the quarter panels, but they only repop them for the two doors. But the cool thing about it is, all I got to do is shorten up that panel to make it fit the four-door with the dog leg. And by dog leg, I mean this piece right here. For those who don't know what the dog leg is, all I'd have to do is shorten up that panel and the body lines line right up. Because what I learned with these cars is the coupe, the sedan, the wagon, all three variants of this car, be it the Biscayne, the Impala, the Caprice, the Bel Air, they all rode on the same identical frame and wheelbase, which is awesome. And most of the parts interchange with one another. For example, the trunk lid is the same on the coupe as it is on the four-door cars. The hood's the same. The whole front end is the same. The only things that are significant that they don't make for these cars are the doors, I think the door windows, and the roof skin. But fortunately, I happen to have a little bit of fabrication skill and welding, and I'm not afraid to tackle fabrication, putting patch panels on a car when it rusts either. So this may be my biased take on it. This is a four-wheel drum brake car, and it needs some odds and ends here and there in terms of the brake work, but for the most part, like, it's got all new brake lines on it, and the hardware and stuff's all relatively new. This car's only got 62,000 original miles on it now. Well, actually, it's about 63 because I've been putting miles on it. And all the front end stuff in the front, the steering components and all that, it all appears to be pretty much original. But one thing that isn't original is the motor, and we'll get to that here in a minute. But I'm going to show you around this car as we go through it, show you the interior. The interior is typical barn find interior. The seats are in really good shape. The only drawback is I left a quart of ATF on the back seat here when I was driving it home, and it was sitting on a towel, so I didn't think nothing of it. Well, and it wasn't even an open it wasn't even an open cord either. It was sealed, but the stupid plastic cord bled through the seams and managed to stain the back seat. So I'm hoping a good steam cleaner will get that cleaned up. And the dash is undisturbed for the most part. It did not have a radio. This is a non-radio car. All crank windows, and it non-AC car too. So, but let's get under the hood. So what we got under the hood here is a Cam 355. And it was originally a 283 car. The guy actually offered me the original 283. Apparently he still had it, and I kind of regret not including that in the sale. But I just, kind of wanted to, I was more focused on getting this car home than anything at the time. So if he still got it, I guess I can message him and see if he still got it and buy it off him. He didn't want very much money for it, but I don't think that's going to be the case because I actually have another motor sitting in the shop right now that I plan on putting in this car, and y'all will never believe what it'll end up being, but I'll give you all a hint. It's going to be just a good old grandma spec motor like this car had originally, but it won't be a 283. In fact, some of y'all might be like, why? But it'll be strictly for just drivability, daily usage. As cool as this motor is, it's just not what I want for this car. It's mated to what I believe is likely the original Power Glide 2-speed. In fact, I'm 99% sure it is the original Power Glide transmission. That transmission, I never had a Power Glide car before. And let me tell you, I am automatically impressed by it because when I drove it home, the trans fluid was about 3 quarts low when I first got it. And I had to keep adding it. And ultimately, it ended up sucking down freaking about 3 quarts worth before it leveled out. And I'm like, what on earth? But these transmissions, I learned very quickly, you can't kill them. That transmission did not care at all being low on coolant. I drove it like that for a few miles. So, it did not care. It didn't slip, didn't do anything. But between the cam and the stock converter, the vacuum on this powertrain is not exactly friendly. And on top of that, I also need to replace that brake booster right there, because when I step on the brakes, you can hear the vacuum leak in the booster, and I think it's internal. But I can get that booster. And the biggest thing though is this cam in this motor is just way too aggressive, and it doesn't get along real well with that stock converter. I can tell it's a stock converter because when I push the brakes between the booster and the cam, it resists so much trying to stop this car because just the vacuum ain't there to freaking help bring me to a stop. So with that, I'm definitely gonna yank this motor out and put something a lot less radical in it. But this motor I'm actually giving to my pop so he can put it in something cool. He wants to get another Camaro, so I told him, I said, this motor is killing to be in something that's light, something that's also easy to get parts for, of course, and something that has potential to be pretty fast. So I ended up doing was, it did not come with this air cleaner, and it's also got a quadrijet now. When I got this car, it came with a Weber 4-barrel and a goofy piece of shit freaking small aftermarket air cleaner on it, which I did not like. So I ended up scoring this at a swap meet for like 30 bucks, and I ended up getting the carburetor too. And the carburetor is a rebuilt 80s carburetor with, got leaner jets and whatnot. So, that kind of contradicts this motor. I'm sure this motor's demanding a lot more. So now we're going to talk about the issues this car has that I need to fix cosmetically. As you can see, overall, it is actually in really, really good shape. But for starters, as you can see, there is Bondo in this car. And there was Bondo up here, you can see. You can see a weld seam right here. So I think what happened was this car was either sideswiped or it sideswiped a guardrail in its time or something. Because just this side of the car has Bondo, and it was definitely repainted at one point too, as probably a result of that. But it was a really, really, really long time ago. So you can see the Bondo here. I think this car was either sideswiped or it sideswiped the barrier. It was bent up in one way, shape, or form. But as you can see, I gotta fix this, which is no big deal. I gotta patch up some of that stuff in there, which is also no big deal. But the biggest problem I have that's gonna give me the biggest challenge working on the cosmetics of this, well, I guess you can consider this part structural. The biggest problem I have with this car right now is this. As you can see, I need to sleeve the frame. That's the worst spot of it. I've done quite a bit of inspecting underneath it, especially I ended up having to do I ended up having to do a kind of a hack job on the exhaust to make it better than it was. It had these obnoxious cherry bombs on it, and it was dumped underneath the car in the same way. I'm going to end up ultimately putting a full exhaust on it with a very quiet grandma spec muffler, just like my C20 is. I'm over having a loud car, unless it's the G8, but even the G8 ain't even loud unless you get on it. It just rumbles. But yeah, the frame definitely needs attention, but it's something I can tackle. A lot of guys are probably recommending in the comments that I just frame swap it, which if I'm in the right place at the right time, that's definitely on the table for me to do. Because I've noticed there's still a lot of frames down south that you can get for these cars. There's just guys had laying around, but yeah, as you can see, this needs patching. What I'm going to end up doing is both rails. I think I'm going to just run really thick channel iron and really thick flat stock down both frame rails, and then I'm going to just tie it into the angle parts here in the frame, the angles up here, and make it all probably, if anything, stronger than it was originally. Because these frames are not very thick, and I can see why they rotted out very easily. And the later cars, it's the big slap in the face. That's the only slap in the face about getting this old of a B-body, is the later B-bodies. Well, it's actually more of a slap in the face that they don't make the parts for the later B-bodies. Because the frames on, I believe, the 77 and up B-body cars, when they downsized in the late 70s, the frame from basically where it angles into the angles right there to where it angles back behind the wheel here, they C-channeled that so that nothing could collect in there. And that was genius, because I never, like my Parisienne, it was starting to rot out on the body, but the frame was still entirely solid. I mean, it just had superficial surface shit on it. But these cars, they were boxed in the middle, and obviously they were prone to rotting out, which sit in a barn for 40 years, you wouldn't think that would be possible at first, but chances are this car probably sat on a dirt floor in the barn, and there were either no wheels on it or the tires were flat. And I think what happened was the frame just sat right in the dirt, and that's what compromised the frame, as you can see that I just pointed out. A couple other things I need to patch up here. I need to patch up the quarter panels, pretty common. The dog legs again, pretty common. I need to do some buttoning up to the doors. But look under here. If you get it, I'm going to show you right now, right here. Look at the floor pans. This is another big reason why I went with this car, is the floor pans, unlike the frame, are damn near spotless. I could take this whole body off this car whole and put it on another frame, and it would be a nearly perfect car. So with that, I want to keep this body in the shape that it's in and actually make it better yet. Because like I said, there's still some minor cosmetic stuff, as I just pointed out, that needs to be done. But other than that stuff, there's also a few dimples in the trunk pan that I need to patch up. Other than that though, the outer body is not in bad shape at all. It's pretty solid. And here's the interior. As you can see, here's the stain. As you can see, it's bubbled I think the ATF managed to get underneath the vinyl and kind of rise it up. So I don't know how I'm going to get that fixed, but I guess I'll see if I can get it to come out. If anybody's got any suggestions on how to do interior detail work like that, let me know, because I was never really the detailing expert. But as you can see, headliner needs headliner. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my own out of like cardboard, or, you know, because these basically had cardboard headliners to begin with, and it just deteriorates and it falls apart, and you get what you see here. The door cards, same thing. I mean, see, it's cardboard, glorified cardboard. So, you know, just replacing cardboard with cardboard, I guess, would be the most logical thing. And as you can see, here's the dash. Basic controls, everything's basic. Oh, another thing, the gauge panel. The stock instrument cluster does not light up. However, the aftermarket gauges down there do. So it tells me the previous owner managed to just divert the wiring to the aftermarket controls instead of dividing up the source. So I need to fix that. Another reason why I got this thing is because of this. Crank vent windows. So I always kind of wanted a car that had those. I do wish this car was a stick shift, and I was looking for a stick shift for a little bit of time before I settled on this, because I wanted something that my wife could drive in case of an emergency. If like her car broke down, she could have something to drive without me having to spend 2 months teaching her how to drive a stick shift. I tried teaching her how to drive a stick shift. I've been trying to make time to teach her how to drive a stick, but just hasn't been there for either one of us. But yeah, so I settled on this. I really tried when I was searching for one of these to find a wagon version of this car, but I could not find one. I was really hoping I would score a wagon, so I settled for this. But I have seen wagons here and there pop up, as it always happens on Marketplace. You buy the car that you buy, and then something better always comes along. So yeah, you know how that goes. But I'm all right with this. All right, we'll look in the trunk right quick here. Let's go for a ride. As you can see, like I said, there's a few pinholes that need to be touched up here and there. But overall, it's a really solid piece. Got the original spare tires still back here. The deck lid itself is in pretty good shape. The gutter that goes around the trunk, though, is in pretty rough shape, which is pretty expected. It didn't take much to rot that kind of stuff out. You always had water and grit and dirt and bullshit up in the little gutter. But as I was saying previously, this right here is all replaceable. This whole rear sill is all replaceable, and this whole trunk pan is all replaceable as well, as is this structure. But again, a few weird things that you cannot get they do not make though. For example, they don't make the Bel Air taillights or the Biscayne taillights anymore. You have to either modify this or get an Impala, or I believe a Caprice too. I don't think the Caprices had this piece here. It was a wraparound taillight, and those are the only taillights you can get as a repop. Unfortunately, they do not make these non-wraparound taillight lenses, which kind of sucks. But weird, these bumpers were three-piece. They were kind of they just kind of put it together and made it one. But you can get these bumpers. That's other than like the few tedious little dumb things they don't make for these cars, but pretty much everything else they do make for these cars. I mean, and again, that's why I bought this, is because I know parts are readily available for it. It's easy to work on, and it gives me back the ride quality that I miss, and a nice smooth ride going to and from work every day. All right, let's go for a ride. You must forgive me if the camera is a little wonky. I might have to stop and correct the stand, the tripod that's sitting on right now, because I don't have any suction cup camera mounts. I lost the one that I did have, so I'm kind of making do with the tripod stand that I just stand up outside when I'm giving my review. So the tripod's crudely behind the front seat right now, and I'm actually holding it in place, so in case you're wondering why I'm only one hand in this thing. Let's see, we'll slow down here and let it. Takes a while for it to downshift, but there's a downshift right there. And this car does have get up. But the problem is that get up don't happen until about 2,500, 3,000 RPM. So it kind of contradicts itself because it's such a heavy car. And these heavy cars always needed torque to get them going. So when you initially accelerate with this thing, it just completely falls on its face. But once you get around like 2,500, 3,000 RPM, you start feeling it in the seat, and it really starts waking up and going. Like I said, this motor, the guy said it came out of a 69 Camaro. But when you look at if you see up close, when I was going over the engine, you'll see there's corporate blue painted on the cylinder heads. So I think it's a cam-only engine. I did a scope test. It's also got dish pistons still. So it's probably still an 8.5 to 1 motor. And the heads are 882 heads. So it's definitely a Smogger era engine. But it's got a Corvette intake on it, and it's got this camshaft. So between that combination, crazy enough, it's still got the original ram's horn manifolds on it too. I don't know how the hell they didn't go to headers. Usually every car with an engine that's been tampered with typically has headers put on it. At least every car I ever got. But this car, just the motor probably makes anywhere between 250 and 300 horse, if that. So it's no slouch, but it's also, like I said, the camshaft profile on this thing, it definitely shows itself. But driving it to work and back, I mean, I'm just two finger in this steering wheel, and it goes down the road straight. It's got 14-inch wheels on it, big balloon tires, like this railroad crossing right here. The car just goes over, and it's just like, what the hell was that, you know? I really do genuinely wish that they still made cars like this. I really do. I mean, it bums me out that I didn't grow up in an era, or was even brought up in an era, where I had the ability to buy one of these brand new. And yeah, they don't have airbags, they don't have emissions, which I'm against that shit to begin with, but that's just my personal opinion. For another video. I am definitely about safety, but the thing about it is, this is 2025. We can integrate modern safety into something like this. Be it does, maybe it can't be a steel dash, or you ain't gonna have a steering wheel this gorgeous anymore. You have to have an airbag, airbags left and right, all over. But this is 2025. We can integrate the modern technologies of these cars now into something that still rides like a boat. Not everybody wants something to go down the road every day in that's quote unquote sporty. I don't. And I'm a race car driver. I like to have a car that I can relax in and drive and just be chill. These cars nowadays, they got these big obnoxious center consoles and the infotainment and this tablet sticking out of the dash and shit. I don't want any of that. I really don't. And the unfortunate reality is the car, 90% of everything they make nowadays, that's all you get. You ain't got a choice but to get stuff like that. And it's shitty. I don't like it one bit. Call me old school, call me a boomer, call me what you want, but the fact is they don't make cars like they used to. And that doesn't mean, and that statement doesn't just mean, oh, cars lasted longer. They really didn't. But these cars, for what they were incredible. They go down the road smoothly. I mean, this is a 60-year-old car, and I'm two-fingering the steering wheel. And I can let go of it, and it goes down the road just fine. But with all this said, it does need my grandma spec engine for it. The grandma spec engine that I'm putting in this thing, believe it or not, is going to be a 305. I actually recently, long story short, I scored a 305 block, long block assembly, it's a Lego set. And it's mainly for, other than the block, I'm using some of the parts in it to rebuild my race car motor. Before I end the season and end up putting an LS in that thing anyways. That's a whole nother topic. But long story short is I got this 305 block that's in incredible shape. And I already honed the cylinders, and it looks immaculate. It came out really good. So I'm going to piece that motor together. I'm going to put it in this car. And of course, I'm going to put an RV cam in it and, wake it up a bit. Because as we all know, 305s from the factory, they did not make a whole lot of horsepower at all. But with this motor, I want to put together for this, I just want it to make decent torque to get this car going and, have this car sail down the road nice and smooth and quiet and not be a freaking bear when it comes to the other factors in this drivetrain, such as the torque converter and all that. Because I'm not looking for a hot rod out of this car. And I know I contradict myself because I'm a hot rod guy. But in due time, I'm going to be making the repairs to it that I need to make and making the changes to it that I want to make. But the best thing about it is I can do all that other than the engine swap. I can do all of this stuff, all the cosmetic stuff, as I'm driving the car. I could park this thing on jack stands, drive on jacks, and weld up that frame on a Saturday or Sunday or any given time during the week after work, and I can drive it to work the next day. That's the best part about it. Because mechanically, it goes down the road and it does what I want it to do for the most part. I said the only issue it has, let's see if I can get it to do it. Yeah, see, it wants to stall. See, I hesitated there. But that can be fixed. Again, swapping the motor out is going to be part of that. The other part of that is going to be that brake booster. It shifts really nice and smooth. I got the transmission all squared away. I don't think it hurt itself at all. I cannot complain one bit. I think down the road this car will not owe me anything. And sure, you're gonna get guys that cry, "Oh, don't drive it in the winter. Why? What are you doing?" Well, again, this all falls back on how much are you willing to put into your car in terms of taking care of it, because you're only going to get out of it what you put into it. And a lot of people, a lot of regular people out there, they don't look at it the same way people like me do. You know, I want a car, I want it to last. I'm not looking to lease something. I'm not looking to, definitely not looking to buy something anymore. That's brand, in terms of being brand new. And even if I did, I mean, you're pulling out a tiny mortgage for cars nowadays. When you want to take care of it and make it, treat it like you're going to have it the rest of your life, like a lifetime vehicle. Because look how much you're paying for the thing. Get it undercoated. Wash the underside of it when you take it to the wash. Make sure they do a good job. Take it to a good wash. Wash it after every snow event. But anyways, well, that was our drive. I'm going to end it right here. You hear a little run on from the, I got to adjust idle too. But overall, this car, I don't think it'll owe me nothing. So on this note, hope everybody enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you next time. I think I'm going to be doing another video on the C20, as a matter of fact, because I need to do an update on that with the big block that's now in it, and just do like an overall summary of it. So that'll be coming next. So take care, everybody.